So folks, Sean Mize here, and as the slide here indicates, this is going to be the introduction to the Internet Funnel video class. And basically what I'm going to do is just kind of go over what's going to be in this training and also how it's going to be set up. So let's just dig right into it. So the kind of the background to this, hey, where did the idea for doing this come from? My goodness, I've got the training out there. I've got comprehensive traffic training. I've got comprehensive email training, comprehensive product training, comprehensive coaching program training. And the crazy thing is, anybody that studies any one of those trainings, when you come out of that traffic training, you know how to generate traffic. You come out of that email training, you know how to generate emails. It's amazing to me that people that go through my product training, and they come out of the product training, they go, wow, I'm going to create a product in the next 3 days. I'm simply going to do it. And they send me an email that says, wow, this is absolutely amazing. I've been trying for 2 years to create a product. 7 days later, I have my first product and it's ready to sell. Those are the kind of emails that I'm used to getting when that happens. Same thing with the coaching program training. So why a training like this? We're going to talk a little bit about, hey, why video? There's obviously, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, but there's some disadvantages to video. I mean, one of those disadvantages is, hey, you have to watch it in order. It's not like something you can just put on your iPod or your MP3 player and then listen to it on the way to work. You have to physically watch it. And for that reason, I try to stay away from video. I try to do mostly audio so that you can learn on the way to work. You can learn while you're biking. You can, learn on your lunch break. If you have a job where you can listen to music or you can listen to my training while you're doing data entry or you're, putting tires on cars or whatever the work that you do is, that you're able to listen to it. But sometimes things are just better to be seen. And I'm going to be showing you some things that, although some of it could have been taught, I mean, obviously what I'm doing right now, I don't need a video screen to show you, but trying to be consistent with all of the trainings, I'm going to show you into some accounts. I'm going to show you some things. And sometimes when you see things, all of a sudden light bulbs go off in your mind and you go, wow, no wonder that's not working for me. No wonder that's not working. Or wow, that's how he does that. I'm also going to dig into some strategy. There's more to the internet business than just saying, okay, well, drive traffic and send emails out and sell products. There's strategy. And there's days when I spend 2 or 3 hours just sitting and thinking, just strategy, and I write notes like these. This is my strategy session from Monday morning. I think I did this on Monday morning as well. I sit down Monday, especially generally Monday, a lot of times Tuesday, I sit down with a stack of blank paper just like this, and I'll just write ideas and I'll look through it and I'll sift it and I'll say, okay, what are we going to work on? How can I best help people? You're going to see you're going to see the result of that kind of thing in this video. What I'm hoping that you can see is my thought processes so that you're going to be able to go in and duplicate some of those things. You need to get on the forefront of what's going on in the internet world so that you're not finding out after it happens and it's kind of left you behind. Another question that I get, and I want to share this as well, is hey, is all this covered in your coaching program and in your other products? Well, obviously, if we're going to talk about emails here, I've taught in my products how to write emails. Because of that, I'm not going to teach you how to write emails in this training. What I'm going to do is show you into my email campaign and show where I put the emails and how I put them all together. Okay, so this is going to be complementary to my other training. It's going to be complementary to my coaching program. Now, with the coaching program, generally what I do is I teach you what I'm doing that works and that you can implement in your business. A lot of what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to show you recent test results. I'm going to show you how I come up with new things. And the thing about doing new things is that if you do something new, it's not tried and true and proven. I don't like to teach things in my coaching program that are not tried and true and proven. You say, well, why are you going to teach us those things here? Well, the thing is, if I do all the work first, say for the next 9 months, I implement everything I'm going to show you here, I implement it, and then after 9 months, I come back and say, okay, all of this worked, and this is exactly how it worked, and here's the details on it. By that time, it will be beginning to evolve and to change. And so if you're looking at information based on what used to occur, then you're never going to be on the cutting edge. And so what I've done is I've designed this so that you can get on the cutting edge and you can see how I design things. The truth of the matter is what used to work isn't working so well these days. The old school tactics are no longer working like they used to. You know, traffic is just an amazingly different ballgame than it used to be. The big companies are getting so good, and there's a handful of kind of big companies out there, and I think that we're seeing that in a lot of niches. There's 2 or 3 web businesses that started out 5 years ago, but now they dominate. They take 30-40% of the traffic. They've optimized, they've split tested all over the place. You know, 5-10 years ago, we used to talk about the internet as somewhere that anybody could get started. That's still true. But that you could go in and you could quickly optimize your own funnel. Well, the truth of the matter is, a lot of these bigger companies have optimized their own funnel so well that they've driven traffic prices up. So if you're buying traffic in your niche, you may be paying 2 or 3 times as much as you would have 5 years ago. Well, if your profit margins aren't 2 or 3 times as much as they would have been 5 years ago, you may be upside down. And so it happens as you go in to buy traffic, you're never able to make a profit as a small person. And in the long, and you never able to grow to that critical mass that allows you to really be profitable. You know, the same thing's kind of going on with the free traffic. You know, there's companies out there that are spending, let's just call it, throw a number out there, $2,000 a month to do SEO work on a keyword that you're trying to kind of do out there by getting a few links and, you know, trying to get rankings in the search engines. And you're competing against companies that are maybe spending thousands of dollars a month to get those keywords to come up. Are you going to be able to be effective if you're just meeting them on the battlefield? You know, you're out there with, you know, your wooden sword, you know, and they're out there with big old steel tanks. And I think that what's happening is a lot of the training out there in the marketplace is teaching you how to do things with wooden swords when your competition is using steel tanks. Maybe that's a bad example, but I think that it makes a great analogy, because I think that what's really going on in the marketplace right now, folks, is that when you come into the marketplace, you're buying training, and if you're buying the cheapest training out there, you're probably buying training that was designed years ago, or not, I don't want to use the word probably, but you're possibly buying training that was created years ago that used to sell for a high price. Now people are practically giving it away. Why? Well, you know, maybe because it's old. Now that's not always the case. Sometimes I give away my brand new training simply because I want people to, you know, see some of the brightest, the newest tactics right out the box, and then purchase foundational materials, things that don't change over time. You look at something like, I'm just going to brag on myself for a second. You look at something like my coaching program technique that I've developed over the course of the last 3, 4, 5 years. You know, I don't see that changing, implementation of that changing for 5, 10 years down the road, maybe even longer. It's something that's solid, and it's been designed to be solid. And maybe there's a nuance here or there that will be improved upon. You know, I've made some improvements to things over time, but it doesn't change the foundation of how to do it. You know, when we look at writing persuasive emails, I mean, the same persuasive words that worked 80 years ago in writing letters work exactly the same in writing emails today. Those things aren't, you know, those things, unless human nature changes, those persuasive words aren't going to change. Those word patterns are not going to change. Now, will delivery of email possibly change with the advent of smartphones? People are getting so much of their email on smartphones. You know, 10 years from now, we might see that people aren't using something called email, but it looks similar. It may look similar. It may be in a different platform, but the foundation of writing that content is going to be the same. The biggest area, and I'm going to go through all 3 of these and kind of talk about all 3 of these. And in this intro, I'm not going to tell you what each one of those traffic sources are, for example. We're going to do that in the individual videos. But traffic, for example, what there's a number of traffic sources that people are using today that are simply not as effective as they used to be. And I'm not going to spoil things here by just telling you what they are, because I want you to see the data. I want you to understand why, because there's a danger if I just tell you. You go, well, so-and-so's using it. You know, the truth of the matter is so-and-so's not making as much money as so-and-so used to make. And in fact, so-and-so is making so much money off his prior subscribers, he doesn't even realize that his new traffic's not converting, because are changing very fast. Things have changed just in the last 3 to 6 months. And some of the big boys and big girls, I believe, are still using some tactics that are no longer working. Sometimes they're working because of the fact that they have a lot of float in their business. So, for example, let's imagine that you're kind of a big boy and you're doing $1 million a month in business, but all you really care about is making $100,000 in profit. You can operate on a 10% profit margin. You can go out there and spend $900,000 each month on traffic to eke out $100,000. But if you're you and you want to generate, let's say, $10,000 a month, can you spend $9,000? Can you work things in the same ratio as the big boys are doing and spend $9,000 and only clear $1,000? Well, no, you wouldn't be in business. You can't operate like that. And some of those old school tactics, the big boys and big girls are still using, because their volume is so high that they can deal with a low profit margin. I need to be using traffic sources that allow us to convert very, very, very quickly. One of the things that I'm going to show you is some cash flow projections. You know, what would you rather? Would you rather use a traffic source that begins to be profitable in 3 days, which means you can start reinvesting in 3 days and have an exponential impact happen to your investment dollars? Or are you willing to break even after 60 days? You know, the truth of the matter, again, if you're doing $1 million a month, you're putting $900,000 of that back into the business. Well, you can wait 60 days for that money to come back in. In your case, if you want to grow your business and you're starting out with $1,000 or even $10,000 investment, you want to grow your business, you probably don't want to wait 60 days just to find out if something's going to break even or lose money on you. You want it to happen very, very quickly, and there's some very specific ways to do it. That's one of the keys to my success, is I am relentless about testing and tracking, and I'm going to show you some of how I do that. I'm relentless about testing and tracking, and I'm relentless about saying I'm only going to do things that are profitable. I'm not going to just bunch everything out there and say, you know what, if I can make a 12% profit margin, cool. I don't. I like to work with 70, 80, 90% profit margin. Those are the kind of things that you're going to kind of see on screen here. Email is changing, folks. People are getting more and more and more emails in their inbox. Now, does that mean we throw email away? No. Actually, if you're writing really good, strong emails, your emails kind of rise to the top. And, you know, I get emails all the time from people that say, you know, I get 200 emails a day, or I get 100 emails a day, or I follow 400 marketers, and your email is the only one I read, or your email and 2 other marketers are the only ones that I read. Your email must stand out. It must stand out. It's going to stand out in a positive way. And hype doesn't make it stand out in a positive way. You know, using all the all caps, bold subject lines, that doesn't make it stand out in a positive way. It really depends on what's in the content that matters. It's how good your last email was that's going to indicate if people are going to open up today's email. Think about that. It's in what was in the last email you sent that's going to indicate whether they open today's email, not the subject line. Now, hey, can you make some subject line differences and get difference in open rate? Yeah. But if your email isn't worth reading, then they're just going to stop opening your future emails. And product sales are critical, folks. They're absolutely critical, and they have to be done correctly. Pricing is incredibly important these days. And what happens is if you price too low, people begin to see you as a low price seller. They won't buy at higher prices. And the truth of the matter is, if you're going to be profitable in this marketplace, you're going to have to charge decent prices. Now we're not talking about ridiculously high prices, and I, we kind of talk about sometimes the idea of having really high ticket packages, 10,000, 20,000, whatever. There's a place for those. That's not your bread and butter. Your bread and butter is that $1,000 down to about $100 sale. That's really your bread and butter right there. But if you're making a lot of sales lower than that price point, you're probably, everybody's different, but you're probably having a difficult time moving people through a funnel. Okay, funnels are getting a lot flatter these days. This is one of the things that's changing. We used to talk about a funnel, $0, $10, $37, $97, $297, $1,000. And what we wanted to do is get people to buy one thing, and then they liked it, so they would buy the next thing at a higher price. They liked it, so they would buy the next thing at a higher price. What we're seeing now, folks, is that if somebody buys in at $10 or $37, they become anchored at that price. That's what they want to pay for your goods from now on. Now, is there some variations to that? Yes, and I imagine I'm going to get into that. It's not in my notes for this, but I mean it's a big part of this. So I'm sure I'm going to. I imagine I'm just going to kind of weave it in there because it's part of what my strategy is. Let me just talk about it a little bit more right now. You can use something that's low priced as kind of a starter to get people into your funnel or maybe make that first purchase. But if you get people to buy 5 times from you at a low price, you are anchoring them to a low price. Don't expect them to invest with you at a price that's 10 times higher than that later on. However, if somebody invests with you at $200 or $300 for their first purchase, then if they make 5 more purchases over the next 5 months, those next 5 purchases can be in that price range. What's a price range? If you make a $300 sale, what's a price range? Well, $100 to $600 or $700, that's a price range. But if you're selling something for $37, what's the price range? Well, it's $10 to $67. And the truth of the matter is that in today's marketplace, you're probably not going to make a living if you're selling it $10 or $37. You need to be selling it at higher prices. Okay? In most niches, the funnels are becoming much more mature. And if you're not matching your emails and your products to the marketplace in such a way that you're getting into that mature marketplace where you're able to sell at higher prices, if you're not creating products that when people buy them, they love them so much that they want to buy and buy and buy, you're dropping the ball. You used to be able to create one product and sell it and make money on it. You can't really do that anymore. You've got to be able to sell multiple products. And back in the day when you could just sell one product and make a profit, well, it didn't matter if the product was no good. Okay, your refunds might be a little bit higher, but a lot of people wouldn't ask for one, and a lot of people would they'd say, okay, well, what you sold me was worth what I paid for it. I learned something from it. What I try to do when I'm creating product is just blow people away. I want people to invest, let's say $300 and say, wow, this was worth $2,000. I've had people write me emails and say, you know what, your $300 training or $200 training was more valuable to me than a $5,000 training or a $2,000 training I purchased from somebody else. That's the kind of response that you want. Even if they're not writing you want them to feel that deep inside of their gut. What does that mean? If they feel that way, they'll buy your next product if it's something that they can use. These things are critical. And what I believe is most marketers are failing on the traffic arena today. They're losing the battle on email. They're trying to do so much with social media and that kind of thing. They're trying so hard to get into people's smartphones that they're just not maximizing impact that they can have with email by writing good, strong emails. Think about the emails that you read from people that you read on a regular basis. You may get 100 emails a day. How many of those do you read? 3 or 4 of them. Think about those 3 or 4. Why do you read them? Because you're getting good information in each email. And then obviously product sales. Your products must impress. They must be stellar. And by the way, creating a stellar product doesn't have to take 2 years. I've created stellar products in a day or 2 or 3 before. You can do it. It's the quality of what goes into it. We're going to talk about, in this training, I'm going to teach you what I'm doing now. Now, I want to be very clear that what I'm doing now, some of what I'm doing now has been tested and true and proven. I've been teaching my coaching program for a long time. Some of what I'm doing right now is truly in the test phase. And hey, I'm going to show you those things too. They may or may not work. Again, we get into this dilemma. Hey, do I wait until it works and then show it to you a year later, and by then, it's old hat, or do you want to see it now? And I believe that you've signed up for this video training because you want to see what's going on now. And I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. You can duplicate it. You get your own results in your business at the same time I will. You'll be able to say, hey, this little part works, this little part doesn't. These are the things that we're going to change. Okay? Testing is critical. It's absolutely critical. It used to be you could kind of guess your way through the business. Testing is critical. Now, when we think about testing, we think, wow, this is going to be really, really complicated. I'm going to show you how easy it is because my testing is really, really simple. Now, it's also crude. It's simple because if it was not simple, I probably wouldn't do very much of it. Okay? But it's also crude, which means that, I might test 50% of a particular traffic source. Does that tell me what's going on with the other 50%? No, it doesn't. But I make the assumption that this part of the traffic is converting this way, the rest of it probably is too. And I don't know that for sure. Okay? Every single sale's not tracked. But if I'm tracking most of it, if I'm taking a look at most things, and the most that I'm looking at is profitable for a particular traffic source, guess what? The rest of it probably is too. And I just bring that out because the testing I do, it's not clean, it's not pretty, but it's simple and it's crude. And what does that mean? It's really easy to do. Because think about it. If testing was something that you had to be really convoluted about and really confused about, or that you had to invest $1,000 a month for software that you don't even know how to use, well, that doesn't make testing really exciting, does it? But if I can make it simple for you, if you can see how simple I make it, then even though it's not perfect, even though it closely approximates the true result, hey, as long as it's close, we're a whole lot better off, in my opinion, than being really convoluted, having an overabundance of software that we don't even use 90% of the parts of it because it's too much work. Kind of talked about why video. Obviously, the disadvantage is you got to watch it. And frankly, on this video, you probably could have listened to this as an audio. Unfortunately, if I were to create this series as a mixed audio and video, every other one was an audio and every other one was a video, you might be cool with that, but it's just amazing how many people they either want to watch video or they want to listen. They don't like to do both. They get confused if they have to use a different software to open something. And talk about confusion, because I've tried to do that before, kind of put the best of the best in, say we have the best for this, audio for this, and video for this, and it just creates a lot of confusion. The bulk of this training, though, is really going to be adapted towards the video. I use audio, obviously, for coaching, because for giving strategy, it's just a great way to do it. It's easy to listen on the road. It's easy to listen on your lunch break. For this, and again, this is why I chose not to do this as a live class, whereas audio, sometimes I do it live. I've done this as a recorded class where you get the information very, very quickly, but you're not physically listening to it live, where everybody's meeting at 4 o'clock, something like that. That gives you the flexibility of not having to listen to it right now, and it gives me the flexibility of maybe being able to do 2 or more videos in a sitting, rather than having to say, okay, we're going to meet everybody, at 4 o'clock or whatever the case is. But I am planning to focus primarily on the things that you need to see in this program. Okay? And obviously that's why we're using video. As a result, we're going to have concise trainings. I've taught for 30 hours probably on how to write emails. I've taught for 30 or 40 hours on how to create coaching programs, and obviously coaching programs, I'm not going to teach anything on that. And in product creation, I've already skipped ahead and actually done that recording. I did that just a few minutes ago this morning. That's probably a 20-minute training. I've taught for 10 or 20 hours before on product creation. So it's going to be concise. There's always a trade-off, folks. The truth of the matter is, if this video program was 40 hours long, you probably wouldn't be real interested in watching the whole thing, so you wouldn't get anything out of it. The flip side is, if we make it really concise, then I'm going to give you the high-level strategy. I'm going to give you the important details, but I'm not going to take the time I'm not going to take an hour and show you how to do something that you can go to YouTube and find a 5-minute video and that shows you how to do it, that physically shows you how to do it. So we're not going to duplicate. We're not going to waste here. You know, if there's something you don't know how to do. So for example, I say, hey, I'm going to create a squeeze page, and I create one in 2 minutes using Dreamweaver. Well, you don't use Dreamweaver, you use WordPress. Or you don't use WordPress, use Drupal. You know, whatever the case is, if you don't know how to do something I'm teaching you how to do, you're going to go out there and you're going to learn how to do it. And that's one of the keys to getting to the next level. Beginners tend to stay beginners because the only thing that they're ever able to do in the business are the things that they're spoon-fed. And I really want to, with my higher level clients, people like you, I really want to get away from that, where you're so totally dependent on being shown exactly how to do something, you can't adapt it to your own business. I want you to be able to start thinking about your business as a business. I want you to think of it from a strategic perspective. I want you to start thinking of it from a perspective of what do you want out of your business and what's it going to take for you to get there. Because the truth of the matter is, over the next, whatever it is, 10, 12 videos, 14 videos, whatever it turns out to be, because I haven't done them yet, your business is not going to look exactly like mine. And if you don't have the flexibility to be able to go out there and figure out how to plug and play a different element into the part that you want to switch out for me, and the only way that you can learn that is to enroll in another 10-hour course from somebody else. What happens is you end up doing 10-hour course after 10-hour course after 10-hour course, but you're never getting anything done. You're learning and learning and learning and never getting anything done. When I need to go out there and learn how to use a new piece of software, one of the places that I go is YouTube, Warrior Forum, or you could even go to Kindle. Okay, now, I don't use YouTube much, but if I need to learn how to do something technical, I remember when I was learning how to use iMovie for another project. iMovie, you could probably buy a 10-hour training course on it. I wanted to learn the basics of how to record something. I wanted to learn how to edit a couple of specific things. I went to YouTube. In about 15 minutes, I'd watched a 5-minute video on how to, do a basic recording. I found another one that showed me how to do some edits in 5 minutes, 15, 20, 30 minutes. Hey, I knew everything I needed to know. I didn't know everything about iMovie, but I needed to know everything I needed to know to make it happen. It's critical that when you're working on technology items, outside of strategy, that you learn to do things very, very, very quickly. You can't spend a month learning how to do a squeeze page. You can't spend a month learning how to create a video. You can't spend a month learning how to create a product. You've got to be able to do it. You've got to be able to do it quickly. And the Warrior Forum is another good place if you're wanting to learn how to do anything technical. If you just do a search, do an advanced search in Warrior Forum, and you type in, whatever you want to learn. Let's say you want to learn about Kindle, so Kindle marketing. You type in Kindle marketing for the search term, and then you just click on the Warrior Special Offers forum. You're going to get, maybe 100 different WSOs that specifically deal with Kindle marketing. You read through them, you choose 3 of them, you buy them, you read them all. Half an hour later, you probably know as much about Kindle marketing as somebody else knows after spending 15 hours listening to a 10-hour Kindle marketing training. You've learned what you need to learn. And that's what I want you folks to be able to start getting out there and doing, so that your days become much, much more productive. I want you to take what I teach and decide what you will implement. You're not going to implement it all. You have to decide what part are you going to implement. Okay? You don't want to copy my business dot for dot. Okay? If you copy my business dot for dot, well, I've already done it. I've already done, obviously in niche-wise, I'm already doing it. If you copy it, your results are going to be less if you copy it dot for dot. And then what about procedures? Well, in your niche, I'm going to show you different ways to do traffic, but in your niche, you're going to have to make an adjustment for your niche. You're going to have to go out there, you're going to have to try the traffic, see what happens, test the way I show you. I'm going to show you real live test results right out of my Visual Website Optimizer account. I'm going to show you real live testing results. I'm going to show you that sometimes I do things that get poor response rates, and then I make changes. You have to do the same thing. And if all you do is say, okay, I'm just going to copy what Sean does that got a high response rate, well, if you do that enough, that response rate's going to go down. What you're really better off doing is saying, okay, based on what I'm learning from Sean, how can I create my own test so that I can get the best results in my niche? This is all about empowering you to get out there and build yourself a big business. You've got to take action and just do it. And then the last thing here, you've got to evaluate your results. Are you spending too much time on something that's not working? And I've kind of hammered this home already, where you may spend a month trying to learn how to do something that there's a 5-minute YouTube video out there. You may spend 2 weeks trying to create a product that should have been done in 3 hours. And you've got to find out what those weaknesses are in you, and either find a way to work around them or to get better at them. And you can get better at them. Most things that we do online are easy to do if you know how to do them. Obviously, there's a few things that are harder to do. One of the things that's hard to do is to write copy. If you're not just a good writer, good persuasive writer, it's taken me years to get good at writing copy. That's one of the things that's going to take you probably a lot longer to do. But so many of the technical things, like just recording a video, recording a product, etc., if it's taking you more than a day or two to accomplish a particular task, it's probably taking you too long. You need to evaluate that. If you look back at your business 3 months ago, and you're only 4 days ahead of your business 90 days ago, what went wrong? Where did you lose 87 days? And it's easy for 3 months to pass you by. And I would ask yourself, am I farther ahead in my business than I was 90 days ago? And if you're not, what's wrong? Obviously, if you've been on vacation for 90 days, that's a good excuse. But if you've been working every day, you're working on the wrong thing. And hopefully, as you go through these next 10, 12, maybe 14 videos, you're going to see what are the right things. I'm going to give you one more warning. Again, this isn't like my coaching program where I specifically say, okay, these are the exact things that you do. They work every single time. These are foundational things. This is what you need to put in place in your business. Then get on the phone with me and ask for specialized help, because that's what I do in the coaching program. You talk to me and I say, okay, well, I think in your niche you need to change this, you need to change that, you need to change that. So there's that adjustment. With what I'm going to show you here, I'm going to show it all to you, but you have to determine what's going to work for you. Not every single thing that I do is going to work for you. And if you just blindly do what I'm doing without doing the testing that I'm doing, then you're probably not going to get the kind of results that you want. In fact, probably more than probably, almost definitely, you're not going to get the results that you want. You must implement. I've said that testing is critical. Okay, but what I want to do now is just take a brief look at everything that I'm going to do with you. And you know this because it was on the sales page where you signed up. But what I want to do is just do a quick review of everything that I'm going to show you. Before I do this, I want to say this. As I was going through here, I've listed each one. Hey, I'm going to create a video with a complete overview of the process. That's actually this video, and you'll notice I'm marking these in blue as I do a particular video. So I actually already have done these other 2 videos, and now I've done this one. So this is kind of my big overview, my big outline. I'm also going to do a video with a flow chart of everything that's in the funnel sequence. I'm going to create a video showing you inside my autoresponder account right where the emails are, so you can see the order of my emails and the email sequences. The key here, folks, is for you to see how I do it. But if you go in and go, okay, well, Sean has that email first, that email second, that one, I'm just going to copy the order, it's not going to work for you. The reason, the reason that my order works is because I've tested that order on my subscribers, and that order works. It doesn't always work. It changes every 3 months, 6 months. I evaluate things. I look back and I go, wow, email 12 is not working anymore. Let me pull that out. Email 4 is working really well. Let me move that up to email number 1. Email 16 is starting to work better. Let me move that in. And one of the reasons that that happens is that your emails are not floating around in a vacuum. They're out there in the real world. People are reading your emails. They're also reading other people's emails. And if your email, one of your emails is becoming outdated, if it's just not as effective, if it contradicts something that a lot of other people are teaching right now, unless that's what you're attempting to do, is say, hey, I'm attempting to contradict it because what other people are doing isn't working as well. I'm just trying to throw some ideas out around about why emails don't work if you just copy and paste them. I've seen people try to do it with me before. They've taken my emails, they go, wow, that really works for Sean, so I'll copy and paste it. And the problem is, if you just copy and paste my words, it doesn't sound to them like it came out of your mouth. It sounds different. It creates a psychological dissonance. And if people have psychological dissonance, they're not going to want to buy from you. I mean, if they think that you're schizophrenic in the work that you do, in your business work that you do, if they think you're manic depressive in the business that you're operating, so one day an email has one tone of voice, another day an email has another tone of voice, they're going to back off and they're going to say, I'm not buying. And that's what happens when you copy my best emails, you copy another client, somebody else's best emails, you just copy and paste them. Well, what happens is you actually decrease sales because you create a psychological dissonance. So what I'm going to do is show you how I have it set up so that you can set it up that way. You still got to write the emails from your belly. I'm going to show you a video. I'm going to create a video that shows you my 3 major traffic sources, and I'm going to give you some tweaks. I'm going to show you where I've wasted a whole lot of money on traffic. Okay, there's a particular traffic source out there that a lot of people, especially in the internet marketing niche, are using right now, and results are going down and down and down. And even the folks that claim they're making money, they're barely breaking even from what I can see, stats and looking at some things. There's some strange things that are going on. And having said that, obviously when I created these, I was thinking, hey, I'd create a separate video for each one of these. And what I'm probably going to do is combine this into one video because I think it'll fit better. And there's going to be a couple other things that I'm probably going to do that for. So for example, my squeeze page system and my visual website optimizer testing, those things go hand in hand. And if I do one video on squeeze page and another video on visual website optimizer, I'm not so sure if you get the full effect. On this one, I'm still going to try to do it as 2, but if I really feel like in order for you to get the best experience, I may combine that to be one video. I'm also going to show you how I do keyword research. I'm going to show you the exact theme that I'm using in WordPress and a big component of that WordPress theme, why it's critical in today's marketplace. I'll share you with that as well. I'm also going to get inside my Facebook account. I'm going to show you how I get conversions to Facebook posts and how I'm using sponsored search in Facebook. I'm going to do a video on that. Obviously, this bullet point is kind of a rework of what I shared earlier. I am going to show you how I do module-based email sequencing that makes it really easy to test and maximize purchasing in your email campaign. I am going to show you it's a unique method of capturing 5 out of the 10 top spots in the search engines for a long-tailed keyword in your niche. Now, this isn't going to work for something that is highly competitive. The truth of the matter is, if it's highly competitive, if you were number 1, probably it wouldn't matter. You'd be getting a lot of traffic, but they're not buyers anyway. And what I've found is that long-tailed traffic, that means traffic that is coming from people that are typing in a nice sentence like, how do I do XYZ? They're typing that in. They're probably more of a buyer than if they just type in one word. Let's just say that you were in the, you specialize in training dogs how to sit. That's your specialty. If you were to optimize for the keyword or the key phrase, how do I get my dog to sit? You're going to have a much higher percentage of buyers than if you try to go with the competitive keyword, dog training. You're simply going to be much more profitable. And if you can come up with 25 long-tailed keywords and just get number 1 to number 5 in the search engines for those 25 long-tailed keywords, you're probably far better off than being number 1 for 5 hot keywords where there's just so much competition. I'm also going to dig into article marketing traffic. We're going to talk about that. Article marketing has kind of fallen out of favor lately because so many people are doing it wrong, frankly. They're just doing it wrong. And one of the things that I've made an effort at doing over the last 7 years is teaching how to do it right. I've always made an effort, even before the search engines were kind of really getting against article marketing. What I tried to do was do it in an evergreen fashion so that it would work for a long time. And article marketing is still working for me. I've had to make some tweaks. I'm going to share with you what those are. I'm also going to do something unique here. I'm going to design an upsell funnel. I'm going to show you how I do it right in my autoresponder, and I'm going to roll a video while I'm doing it. And keep in mind, folks, if I'm rolling a video while I'm doing something I've never done before, the disadvantage is it's going to take longer. You're going to see me fumble. The advantage is I've had people say before, you know, it's so good to see you get stuck on something and see how you figure out getting unstuck. Because the truth of the matter is you get stuck on a lot of the things that you try to do, but when you buy a video to learn how to do it, nobody gets stuck, and it can make you feel like it's easy for them. It's not. It's not easy for us. We go through the same problems that you do. The difference is that when people roll that video that has all the bloopers cut out, they want it to really look professional. Well, I'd rather you see it the way it really is than for somebody to say, you know, Sean made, you know, just the most incredibly professional video. I want you to get results. And if all you're seeing is the smooth path, what I feel like it makes it more difficult for you to be able to actually implement it in your business and feel good about it. If you can see me make some mistakes and stumble over those things and then correct them, you will be able to get to the place where you can, when you make a mistake, you can say, hey, what would Sean do at this point? If Sean had this stumble right now, what would Sean do? You know, one of the keys to success is not falling down. It's how fast you get up. And I fall a lot, but I get up a lot. I'm also going to create, I told you, a flow chart. You're going to see my actual testing spreadsheet. You're going to see inside my autoresponder account. And you're going to see the psychology behind my articles resource box, why I use it. I'm going to open up my Infusionsoft account. You're going to see that. Right now I'm doing a 4-way squeeze page split test. That's probably going to become a 2 or 3-way split test during the time that we're doing this. And so I'm going to show you the initial test. I'm going to show you the iterations that are not working so well already. I'll probably be pulling those out before your very eyes and then going down to a couple of different versions. And then I may add a couple of additional versions, make it a 4-way test again. I'm not sure. And again, a lot of that's just going to depend on real-time results. And then I'm also going to take the campaign. I've created that 4-way squeeze page split test. I'm going to clone that campaign to use for 2 different traffic sources. I'm going to show you why I do that, and I'm going to videotape that entire process. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of finish up this introduction so that you can get into the flow charting so that you can start watching the other videos. By the way, this is going to be hopefully one of the longest videos, with the exception of the couple that I really get deep. The upsell training, that's probably going to be an hour long. When I really get into traffic, that's probably going to go on a bit. And when I really get into the testing, that's probably going to go on a good bit. That could be an hour, hour and a half. I'm going to try on everything else to keep these as short as possible. 10-minute videos, 10, 15-minute videos, in and out. Here's how to do it and get out. Because I don't want you to have to dig through, and again, this is the first one, so I don't know how many there'll be, but I don't want you to have to go through 20 hours worth of listening to me to be able to implement it, because the truth of the matter is, if there's 20 hours, you're probably not going to listen to all of them, you're not going to get all the information. So I'm going to try to be really concise as we go through. So in that spirit, let's go ahead and wrap this up, and we'll see you on the next video.